Hi there, I am the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled, May We Be Awake to the Beautiful Encounters in the Storms of Life. And I'm going to begin with a poem, a beautiful poem, one of my favourite poems by my favourite farmer poet, Wendell Berry. It comes to me, this is one of these poems that offers solace to me so many times in my life when I really need it the most. So this is The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Like many folk, I can feel overwhelmed by the troubles of the world and the troubles of others, those in my life, those around me, as well as the frustrations with myself, my own inner troubles from time to time. When the storms of life are blowing, whether internally or externally, there is a temptation to batten down the hatches. And I don't mean just the storms like the storms we're experiencing, winter storms like Owen, but those storms that can rise up within us, or the storms as we look at the horrific barbarity that can be witnessed by our inhumanity to one another. I can feel tempted to hibernate, to isolate, like others too. Yes, of course, it is healthy, it is perhaps vital to take time alone. It is vital, actually. But isolation is never healthy. And thankfully, these feelings never last. I find solace, I find meaning in so many places. And this enables me to turn back to the world and offer what love and care and a little bit of cheeky humour I possess. And in so doing, meaning emerges from suffering and despair is transcended. And with apologies to Wendell Berry, it is not only the peace of wild things that enables me to rest in the grace of the world and thus feel free, although such things do help at times, but they're not the only things that allow me to rest in the grace of the world and feel free. What I have discovered, what works for me, is walking in the peace of beloved community, being with loving, being with decent people, and to both be touched by them and moved by their company. It constantly amazes me the people whose path I cross day by day. So often these encounters turn into blessings that seem divine, and they probably are. I was talking with a friend the other day as our dogs played together. They had had a very rough 2024, but it seems that things are on the up for them this year. It was lovely to listen to them with such enthusiasm about the things that they are creating and the folk that they are meeting. As I left their company, I felt held by the grace of the world. I'm so grateful that I answered the invitation to walk our dogs in the park that day. I wonder, do you ever feel led by a power greater than yourself? I do. I was the other day. I decided that Molly and myself needed to go to the park, but not the one next door, John Lee Park, but down to Stamford Park, which meant walking through Altrincham. There was a break in the weather, but unfortunately it didn't last long, and by the time I got to Altrincham, the rains had come. So instead of walking to the park, Molly directed me into Cafe Nero. She is only a very little dog, but sometimes she is definitely a power greater than myself. Sometimes she knows what's best for her, but also for me. And she was right that day. It was just what both of us needed. I enjoyed a cup of tea, and 3 different people came in separately that I know. We chatted about a few things, some serious, some less serious, some hilarious and humorous. And I found myself resting in the grace of the world. And once again, I felt free. It is, after all, how I am meant to be, I am sure. And I've had several fascinating random encounters with people in recent days. They have come after I've had an encounter that was difficult or a troubling encounter. You know, the things that come in the blessings and the curses of choosing life. And after each difficult and troubling encounter, I found myself suddenly changing direction. And I found myself as I changed direction, almost immediately engaged in something delightful, or at least humorous, something wonderful and delightful the other day. Something humorous that happened the other day was as I was walking through Altrincham and I suddenly heard loud banging from a window above me. I looked up and a head popped out and they cried to me, "Get your hair cut! Get your hair cut! Get your bleeding hair cut!" Well, Molly and I did get a haircut that week, although we had planned to do so before. It was nothing to do with the person, although mine's been blown by the wind a bit today. It's a bit wild. By the way, it wasn't some random person shouting from the window. It was somebody that knew me very well, somebody I've known for quite some time. And there have been many fascinating encounters these last few weeks. I wonder where they may lead. And life, you know, is full of encounters, full of opportunities, full of so many interactions. There are many opportunities that can lead us in all kinds of directions. And we never know when we set out each day what opportunities we may face and what they may just lead to. I wonder how often in life such seeming coincidences occur, how many opportunities or chance encounters come our way, how many doors open that can lead to something incredible or something new. I wonder if these opportunities come just once or do they keep on coming again and again in one form or another. I'm not sure if I'm honest with you, although I do know that when I'm truly tuned in, they seem to occur far more often than when I am not tuned into life, when I'm fully engaged with all that is life, when I'm not too lost in myself. I wonder how many times all of us have this feeling that we need to do something or go somewhere. I had it yesterday as I answered a call to something. Something inside me compelled me to make a phone call, and it led me to the bedside of someone dying. I had another one recently, but it was too late by the time I set off. I didn't answer that call immediately. I wish I had. I wonder how often we ignore this answer, this call. I wonder how many times we have this feeling and we ignore it. We rationalize this feeling out. We turn away from it, only to find the opportunity present itself again. I wonder. Or, on the other hand, maybe it's all just random chance, just chaos bumping into chaos. Who knows for certain? Certainly not I. We all wander through life primarily living by the same daily, perhaps weekly patterns. The seasons change, but we still live by a similar pattern and rhythm. Yet as we do so, life changes, we change, others change. And we have these interesting interactions from time to time. I wonder sometimes if such encounters, however brief, are constantly available to us. How many people do we pass in life and we never speak or truly interact with? And yet we never know what the interaction, incredible interaction, might yet lead to. We never know. We just don't know. And I'm going to share with you a poem, a wonderful poem that I first came across a few years ago by Wisława Szymborska. And the poem is Love at First Sight. She wrote, "They're both convinced that a sudden passion joined them. Such certainty is beautiful, but uncertainty is more beautiful still. Since they've never met before, they're sure that there'd be nothing between them. But what's the word on the streets, staircases, hallways? Perhaps they've passed by each other a million times. I want to ask them if they don't remember a moment face to face in some revolving door, perhaps a sorry muttered in a crowd, a curt wrong number caught in the receiver. But I know the answer. No, they don't remember. They'd be amazed to hear that chance has been toying with them now for years. Not quite ready yet to become their destiny, it pushed them close, drove them apart, it barred their path, stifled a laugh, and then leaped aside. There were signs and signals, even if they couldn't read them yet. Perhaps 3 years ago, or just last Tuesday, a certain leaf fluttered from one shoulder to another. Something was dropped and then picked up. Who knows, maybe the ball that vanished in a childhood's thicket. There were doorknobs and doorbells where one touch had covered another beforehand, staircases checked and standing side by side. One night, perhaps the same dream grown hazy by morning. Every beginning is only a sequel after all, and the book of events is always open halfway through. This poem by Szymborska describes two lovers engaged in a display of public affection. I get the impression that the author is convinced that some guiding force is at work in their interaction. What begins as chance then becomes destiny, which pushed them close, drove them apart. The poem suggests that these lives were scripted long ago in a book of events, which cannot be altered, try as we might. The poem suggests that the lovers have passed by one another many times before, but were never aware or ready to make that first point of contact. That there were signs along the way that one day this encounter would happen. But it was more than mere chance. Something else was at work offering itself to both of them. It just took this moment for it to happen. In many ways, this seems to be how life is these days. So many possibilities are going on all around us, some good, others not good. So many joys, so many tragedies, so many triumphs, so many failures, so many frustrations, so many crises, endless possibilities, both good and bad. Life offers itself to us, but so often we close ourselves off from it. One thing I have noticed is that as I have allowed life itself to guide me, I've become more open. The more open I am to life itself, and the more connected I have felt, and the more aware I have become of experiencing meaning and making meaning-filled decisions. As I have done so, I have experienced a greater sense of belonging to myself and to those people I share my life with those this world in which I share this world with, in which we all live and breathe, and we share our being. But no matter how I choose, it does not stop tragedy and suffering. Of course, it does not. It does not protect anyone from the storms of life. But what it does is keep me turning toward life, no matter what storms are blowing. And that's the strength I need. That's perhaps what I did not once have. This is faith. This is courage. This is strength. This is the love that we hear so much about. This is the love of God that I know so well. But it does not stop what happens in the world. The storms still blow. But the more I have lived this way, the more I have noticed the meaningful coincidences that can happen in life. Some say this is how it is meant to be, but I'm not wholly convinced that life is as it is meant to be always. I prefer to see it really as I understand it. It's how life can be, how life could be, if I allow myself to live within the rhythm of life. If I notice the so-called coincidences, the synchronicities in life. I don't always notice, by the way. And like a lot of people, I can be completely overwhelmed by life at times. My sensitivity can be an utter curse at times, and it can lead me to turn away from life at times. But thankfully, faith does not allow that to last for very long. I cannot close the ears of my heart to the cries of the world for very long, or the joys for that matter. So I believe that life speaks to us if we are in tune enough to hear the song of the spheres, the music of the spheres, the musica universale. If I can hear the tune, and it speaks in many ways. Some say it is the hand of God directing everything. Others say it's just pure chance. Others call it synchronicity. I'm one of those probably that calls it synchronicity or the lure of divine love. Personally, I do not hold the view of the God who controls all our interactions, or that life is preordained, predetermined, if you like. When I look at our capacity for our humanity toward one another, I find that impossible to believe that it's a game already decided before we do anything. I find that impossible to believe. Neither do I believe in a deistic God, that a creator started the processes of life and then left us, abandoned life to be what life is. Nor am I an atheist or an agnostic for that matter. I do sense a divine presence in life. I do believe, I have come to believe in the lure of divine love, the lure of it, that the divine lures life on, that we are co-creators and co-destroyers of life, that we are part of the universal process. And I sense this divine presence within me, and I experience this divine presence in life itself, particularly in creativity or deeply felt interactions with life, with people, with nature too, like Wendell Berry. I have discovered that when I am awake to such things in life, I experience synchronicity constantly. Life does seem to direct me in these times when I am awake to it. But there is a dark side to that. This can be extremely painful. The sensitivity can cause extreme pain. So living this way is both a blessing and a curse. But it's the only way I can live. It's the only way I can live. May not be the way for everyone. There are times when it all feels too much, though. And I know I'm not the only one. I'm definitely not the only one. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting here that I live purely by instinct, by intuition, by my gut, because I know what can be love can equally be fear, felt in the same place, deep beneath my gut, really, in the soul of my gut. Intuition is not enough. Discernment is vital in order to make wise decisions about life. You must always discern. The word discernment formed from the Latin word discernere, which means to separate, to distinguish, to sort out. Just think of prospectors panning for gold or sifting through the rocks and dirt in search of gemstones. They are separating. They are sorting through the muck for the jewels, for the gold. They are distinguishing between. They are discerning. And it's discernment that I have discovered is the key to making wise decisions about life, about what our senses are saying to us. We need to discover what is of value, what needs to be discarded, so our minds can interpret what our senses feel. We need to discard the dirt and the muck to uncover the gold and the gems that are in the muck. We need to, though, have clarity of thought so that we can truly follow that divine spark within each of us within life. But that's not easy, for our lives are full of so much information swimming round and round like a shoal of fish in a little fish tank, going round, bombarded by stuff, bombarded by stimuli, bombarded by information. Our lives, our hearts, our souls, our heads are so full of things. Our senses are overloaded, bombarded constantly. I hope this doesn't bombard you. Mine is. I'm bombarded by these things, although you may not notice that if you were in my company. I don't show these things often. It's just the way I am. So how do we discern what is the right response? How do we engage, live with integrity in life? Well, it requires silence. We need to rest in the grace of this world. We need time for it all to settle in, to make sense, for these things pull us in all directions. We need to still our senses from time to time. We need to be calm, to be still, to rest in the grace of the world, to feel free to make decisions about our lives and the lives of those that we have responsibility for. We need to tune in to what is at the heart of life, the source of life. We need time to be still, time to be silent, time to connect to our bodies, to our breathing, to our breath, to our senses, time to hear that still, small voice of calm that is less than a whisper, but is more than silence. But we need to be still and silent to hear its voice. That still, small voice of calm, of love. We need to awaken our true consciousness in order to make those sane and sensible decisions about life. We need to learn to separate those things that are of value and those that are not. We need to do this in order to hear that voice that is less than a whisper, but more than silence, that voice that has spoken down the ages to those that have ears enough to hear it. Speak love to power, truth to those that don't want to hear. That humble, quiet, still, calm voice, not that loud, banging cymbal where there is no love. The choices that we make in and by about life, they matter. For it matters what we are, it matters what we do. It matters what we are. It matters what we are. It matters what we are. And I don't think This is my personal faith position, that God chooses this for us. Yes, God offers guidance, the lure of divine love, but it's up to us. It's up to us to choose the path that we follow. For we are the creators and we are the destroyers of this, our world. We do it. It's not done to us. We're all part of it. We're all responsible. Be still. Be still, but pay attention, my friends. Take time to tune in to your deeper selves, to those deeper pulses of life. Pay attention. Trust your heart, but please discern. Please make wise choices about what life offers to you. For what you do and what you do not do truly matters. So stay awake, stay connected, stay part of the grace of this world. Rest in it at times. And may you have beautiful and interesting encounters. And may you trust them enough to allow them to lead your heart, so that you may have enjoy and experience ever more beautiful lives. May it be so. Amen. I'm going to end with some final words of blessing, for we need to bless more, and we can all bless. And we bless by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin again. Let's give our whole hearts to life. Let's return to the world once more, return in good health and good humour, filled with a deep, deep sense of belonging. Let's keep on turning towards love and towards light, towards life, taking the next step in faith and hope, and above all, love. Let us connect with all that is, all that has been, all that will ever be. And let's go back into the world filled with life and filled with love and joy for what might be, filled with deep, deep love. Love for ourselves, for one another, for life, for God, for love must lead us on our way. And may we carry this love with us, and may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and in all that we do. For it matters what we do and what we do not do. Amen. And blessed be